Welcome parents to another video blog on the sports psychology we're doing here at Seattle Gymnastics Academy. My name is Tamara Bodie and I'm the mental skills consultant for all 4 gyms here in Seattle. For the second week of Imagery, I'm just going to go over what we're doing in group session. So first, at every session, I check in with the athletes. Everyone goes around and says one thing that they're proud of, one thing that they're working hard on, or a success in the gym. So this week we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to layer onto that and ask, what are you proud of? What did you do well? And what kind of imagery were you using? External, internal, or a combination of both? As we do this, the athletes start to gain awareness. In sports psychology and in gymnastics, a huge piece, a foundational piece, is having that awareness. So from awareness, we build the interventions that will help them work through mental blocks, such as fear, or a little bit of performance anxiety, such as stage fright. After we do our check-ins and we try to build that awareness, I move towards a little bit more psychoeducation. So that means I'm just layering on more reasons why imagery is important and how it can benefit their gymnastics. So the first one is task mastery, or learning new skills. Skill acquisition in gymnastics is a lengthy process sometimes, and it takes a lot of progression, physical and mental strength. So I ask the athletes, well, what happens when your coach says something and you just don't understand what it's meant to look like? And they're just telling you exactly what to do and you don't understand. And unanimously, the athletes tell me that, we just asked for a demonstration. And this comes from the youngest kids. So we talk about how asking for a demonstration and maybe seeing an older gymnast or a gymnast that's already skilled in that particular move can help them create an image inside of their own mind. Often the athletes tell me that when they're learning new skills, they really think of them in slow motion so they can get the technique. And that's totally fine in the beginning, and it often will help the athletes refine their understanding of the sequencing of the skills. But eventually we do want that sequencing to be in what we call real time. In addition to task mastery and gaining new skills, athletes actually can be extremely motivated by imagery. So in our session, we go over what's called ego orientation and task orientation in motivational styles. So ego orientation is an athlete that loves to win, and that's what motivates them. So imagery associated with ego orientation might look something like them imagining themselves first place on the podium, or imagining themselves beating everybody else in a conditioning game or a race, or even, imagining themselves doing really well on the routine, sticking it, and looking up at the score and getting a really high score. That is ego orientation. The other type of orientation is called task orientation. Now, this is for individuals that love to master skill and they really love to honor the process. So something that's challenging for them in practice to learn is actually quite motivational. So in gymnastics gyms, you'll often hear like a bell being rung when someone gets a new skill and they show everyone. Or you'll see a team gymnast start breaking out in like a victory dance once they've done a brand new skill because it's really challenging. And the actual act of getting that new skill is motivating. So a gymnast with task orientation may imagine themselves getting a new skill or putting a new sequence together. Now, neither type of motivation is better than the other. They are just kind of motivational styles. So some kids are more ego and some children are more task oriented, and some people mix them. And we talk a little bit about how, and maybe in different situations, you're going to have different types of motivation. Perhaps in practice, you're going to have a little bit more task orientation. But when you get to that meet, you have your task orientation, but you also have a little bit more ego orientation as well. So those are the general education pieces that we layer on top of the things that the children have already learned. In addition to this, I do a worksheet with them on how to match what we've already learned. Now, this is really important when the skills that we're learning in sports psychology are complicated. By doing these like mini quizzes, the athletes are able to consolidate this new information inside of their minds and hopefully use it even more when they get on the gymnastics floor. This was the second week of Imagery, and at the end of the session, I always go around and check with the athletes, and the check out, if you will, is actually, hey, like what's sticking with you about Imagery? And often, the kids will have all different kinds of answers for this, but that's also a way to get them to start thinking about, well, what's working for me, and what am I going to take away from this session? And I am really excited about the progress everyone is making and the athletes reaching out to me when they get into situations. As always, if you have any questions or your child is struggling with some of this imagery, I am available both by email and Google Hangout or some type of Skype FaceTime. So those are all options for the athletes. And feel free to email me at any time. Thank you. Bye-bye.